Hello there, great person, and welcome back to Let's Watch Some Orb, the movements of the Earth. So, last time we indeed did lose our main character, which was, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. I hated it, it was very good. I couldn't believe it either, so I did hold out some hope for some plot convenience stuff, actually. Although I do think it was the absolute right decision to do exactly what the author did here, and I really loved it. Made me very emotional, but I do think that means it is a good story already. I mean, I knew that before, but I cannot wait to dive more into this. And today we might get our new main characters. I do think we had the name at the end of last episode. Something that I was a bit confused by. So if I misunderstood this, please obviously correct me in the comments. Is that so? We saw Raphael burn the chest's contents, and now they find the chest's contents again. So was it that he burned the contents that Hubert put in and put him his own in? I think that's how I understood it last time, but I'm just not that sure about it. But otherwise it wouldn't work, right? So I would just assume that was it. And now we will dive into episode 4. This world is so much more beautiful than the sky. And we will just see what this is about. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content. And of course, check out my web novel if you are into some of the discussion stuff I did mention. And I just do hope if you take the time to check it out, you will like it. And if you don't, obviously comment on what you didn't like. And if you like it, consider starring it. And yeah, first arc is now almost over. So the first arc of season 1. And if you were hesitant to pick it up because it wasn't finished, at least the first arc is finished. So you can read that and get the impressions you might need to decide whether to read on. Anyway, we will now get into more celestial mechanics, potentially more religious thoughts, perhaps. And without further ado, let's go have some fun with Orb, Movement of the Earth, episode 4 today.
Doch ich frag mich, wer wir sind.
So we do start with the Starry Sky, which is indeed my most favorite painting of the world by Vincent van Gogh. So, yeah, reminds me that I still have to go to the Van Gogh Museum. It's in the Netherlands, at least part of his work is there. The other part is in the Louvre, no, in the Musée d'Orsay in France. So if you are a Van Gogh fan and if you like the Starry Sky painting as well, you should take a trip to Europe, which is never a bad thing, I think. So anyway, let's start. That was a weird start. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, night sky is always beautiful. Let's do. Oh. Oh. Okay, so I see. Okay, I see. That's interesting. Obviously, because he looked pretty, like, I like the way he looked back down to Earth. I know the episode's title is The Sky, the world's so much more beautiful than the sky, but that was a harsh contrast, because I do think the Starry Sky is one of the most beautiful views you can ever lay your eyes upon, I feel. Like, I remember when I was 15, we went outside the village, we saw the Milky Way, saw it for the first time. I was so aghast of its beauty. And a friend of mine, or a colleague of mine, is currently doing research on nebula and clouds where stars form from, and he's analyzing them with regards to their composition, like the chemical composition and stuff, which you can get by doing interferometry and stuff, and spectrometry. No, spectrometry. I don't know why it's interferometry. did scratch that part, but it's very interesting. And now he looks down, and there's just this medieval battle. I've heard they poured down a lot of shit down those walls. I don't think, like, I do think sometimes it's just boiling water. Like, you didn't need pitch or anything. Like, boiling water is bad enough. I'm not an historian though, so if I'm incorrect, tell me. So you're storming a castle, breaking down a wall. I mean, why not? They look pretty scary, and they seem to enjoy that. I like the focus on the eyes. Okay, so we will start with where must our world be an ugly place. The eyes I really like as symbols, though, because the eye is, for at least the people that can see, one of the most important organs, and we are mostly visual creatures, at least when we consider consciousness to be the starting point of that discussion. If you go by subconsciousness, it's not, as far as I remember. I'm not that versed in that anymore. It's been some time when I read it up. But the idea is that the subconscious is more about smells, more about tastes a bit as well, and more about bodily perception, because that's just the more primary circuitry in your brain, and that's what consciousness emerged from as well, as far as we know. So I do like the eyes as a symbol for judgment as well. Like, if we go towards the more modern Christian interpretations of the judging God, for example. But it's also the eyes of the predator, which this just now was. Like, these people we just saw in the war were uncanny valley people, I would say. Like, they looked like people, but their eyes were dead or full of malicious glee, and it's very interesting. I love that he's in the light. He might be praying, I'm not sure though. Oh yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, really, why? Ooh, I love that. I like that. It's not completely true though. I really like that idea. I really also do like the idea of incorporating the gravitational law into religious interpretations to kind of make it fit a bit, but it's not making it fit. It is also reasonable to assume if you are in the world where they are in, or this monk, or it's not a monk, it's what's this? Is it a priest? Yeah, it's a monk, isn't it a monk? It's not an Eastern monk, that's why I was confused. Like, it's not a battle monk, it's just a monk. But the way he argues here is, from his point of view, I would argue sensible, because that's so weird. Like, it's a sphere, but everything falls down. Why would that be? And saying it's the lowest point is conflating the gravitational potential with the locational thing. I don't know if that's that clear, so I will try to clear it up a bit. So if you have a gravitational potential, like for example Earth, the closer you get to the center, the lower your energy will be, and so that's why the potential, if you draw it, is like a well. It only goes, it only is a well till the surface, and then it goes up again, because in the center of the Earth, obviously, there is no gravity, because I don't know if you're interested in it, I will just talk about it. So, like all these formulas you have in school about gravity, they are only valid until you go to the surface of the Earth, because if you go into the surface, the gravitation of the parts that are like more on top of you, so to speak, like if you have a sphere and you go inward, like there's stuff that you left behind on your way downward, which pulls you back up, so to speak. So if you're in the center of the Earth, the whole mass of the Earth would pull you outwards, like towards the Mars, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work there anymore. So the potential is actually like this and like this. It's almost linear. I do think I looked that up once, the shape. And it's very interesting. I mean, obviously you would burn to death because there's like molten rocks in the center of the Earth, but that's a very interesting idea. So the surface of the Earth is the lowest point of the universe, if you argue with that. And I know also that wouldn't work, but so it's even worse. So it's not the center of the Earth by this train of argument. That is the worst part, or the lowest point. It would be the surface, actually, which is even worse. Like, he could live better with that as an argument here for what he's been asked, but he doesn't know. So it still fits. So also reminds me some of the layers of hell in Dante's Inferno. Okay, why though? Yeah, why? 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 I really do like this idea, in that I do think it's incorrect, but you could argue for it, and I see why you would do it. I do think if you have a more negative view on the world, this is an argument that's completely reasonable and feasible. You're like, okay, everything is hell. Why is that? Because we have been punished. And that's basically, as far as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, the story of Eden. Like, you're being punished for, and Eden is actually the knowledge and betraying God, betraying a value or something. But that was the first sin, obviously. So the sin caused us to wander the earth as people who had to work and toil, and they're suffering. And from the perspective I do take, and that perspective I do like more, is this idea of the creation myth incorporating the psychological development of consciousness in the world and in society, and trying to depict it. So that's, for me, the creation myth is exactly that. So in that interpretation, and only in that one, I do think it would be that the apple of knowledge is you realize that you can be hurt because you realize you're naked. That means you realize there are parts in your body that can be attacked by a predator. And it is also the realization that you can hurt other people if you want to. And in a way, that's where suffering comes from as a concept, because in that line of argument, you would argue probably that the suffering is only possible if you are conscious of it. So if you're just subconscious and suffering all the time, you wouldn't call that that bad, or at least not the suffering in the holy text, I would argue. But like, just in the line of thought, though, I do think things suffer that are not conscious as we are. I do think that, but like, if you would take this path, you would argue against it probably. And then, but I do think it's correct that realizing you're naked is one of the worst things you can think of, because from a psychological perspective, it's also one of the biggest fears. I do think, I looked that up once, I do think the two biggest fears of people are the dark, and with that we also mean the unknown, and being naked as a stand-in for being ashamed in society, being ridiculed, being exposed, both figuratively and literally. And that is why that is so scary. So it is also a symbol for suffering to be aware of your nakedness, of being in like the suffering of knowing that you could be hurt. Like an animal perhaps knows it can be hurt because of its reflexes and because of the actions its body will do to evade stuff or something, or run away or whatever. But the understanding that in the future you could be hurt is a human thing, as far as we know. And that is not completely cleared up yet in research and psychology, as far as I understand. But at least that's one of the most common interpretations of it, or readings of the data. And I do think that is why I really do like this idea of we gained the fruit of knowledge, and it's the fruit of self-awareness, the final step to self-awareness, from like the sea of subconscious that we had as the primordial chaos or something, or the primordial space, the primordial void, the primordial darkness, in that God spoke light into, at least in one of the versions of the creation, as far as I understand. And that is why I really do like this idea, because the question I would also rise against this argument here is, okay, so we suffer, and that's terrible. I mean, I hate suffering, obviously. I hate suffering myself, and I really do hate seeing people suffer. Like, it breaks my heart, but it makes us human. That is what makes us human. If we didn't have that, we would just be in like like on drugs all the time, we would be completely fine with everything. Nothing would really terrify us. Everything would be a sea of good. But if you just have a sea of goods, you just have one thing. You don't have a distinction. And I did talk about that in, I do think, other reactions, not in this one. But if you have a distinction, you can derive, like that's basically from logical, in mathematics, the logical perspective, that's the start of creating the world from axioms and stuff. And also in physics, you can derive quantum theory from that distinction alone. So if you don't have a distinction in the world, if everything's good, nothing is good, so to speak, and it makes no sense. And I would say being human is also understanding distinctions in that part. And I do think, by the way, in the Bible, and I'm reaching here, and you obviously will probably not have this interpretation, but in my interpretation, that's also why there's day and night. Like, there are differences. So. That's also a very often cited symbol, like reading of stars. Ooh, that's awesome. If I would be this priest, I would argue because they are godly, because the stars are part of God, which is, I do think, reasonable to say in some interpretations, because they are the things you strive for, but you will never reach. It's like in physics, if you model something, for example, if you try to model a gas, you start with a very simple formula and you add to that terms to make it more close to things. Like you start with a formula where you assume that molecules don't have a volume and that they are in an infinite volume and stuff. Like you do some approximations and you try to get to the real world. But physics is not the real world. No science can describe the real world. You can just model it, and by that it means you try to iteratively get closer and closer to what the real world is, to act in it and to predict it, and you will never get there. And you might argue in a scientific sense that's the godliness, like this thing you try to strive towards. And that's also in actions in societies. You try to start, like, for example, at least that's my opinion, and it might just be because I love stories so much. In stories, you've got heroes and villains, and they tell you what to strive for and what to strive against. And you love these stories because you love to see these actions being depicted or written down. And I just love that stuff so much. See, that's what he's basically saying, yeah. Ooh, the eyes again. Eyes again. That's also one of the bad things as well. This judgmental God thing is here a symbol, because this is the idea of, and I was afraid of that as a child, because God sees everything. So he saw me everywhere, doing every mistake. Like, that's horrid. Perhaps it is in the end just our conscience that sees all our mistakes. But, yeah. So we've got this dude now. Well, where's the battle? So he's looking at the stars as well. Okchi. I probably mispronounced grass. Interesting, he doesn't look at the stars. Why? What about your eyes, mate? 2 hour chapters. So they are like battle monks? What? Do I know these? Yes. So this is the constellation I was talking about that I did get incorrectly. I see this one as well. I do think this is the spring triangle or something. There are 2 triangles, so it might not be spring. This is the wagon thing, the cart, or I don't know the name, the Great Dipper? Something like that. Someone told me the real English name. It's like the German name is literally the Big Wagon, and it's part of the Big Bear. But like so, and if you, by the way, take this one, and you don't see it on the southern hemisphere, I think. If you take this one and you go further here, you will see the polar star somewhere here, and that is a fixed star because it's directly above the Earth. So if Earth rotates and you look up, it's always at the same position. Oh, great! You're an executor. Brilliant. Fine. Oh God, man, I'm so sad. Man, I'm not gonna watch it. I know. I will in the end. But man, it makes me so sad that Rafa's not in the opening anymore. Oh, Jesus Christ. Episode 4. The fact that this world is far more beautiful than heaven. Yeah. So who are you, my lovely fellow? Are you gonna duel here?
民間警備組合のもの
Civilian watch.
マスクの着用をお許しください
Interesting.
では早速
What are you doing? What is this? Is this real? Was this a real thing? It might have been. I mean, this is a duel, but what for? I never understood how fencing works, but I think it's very hard. Ouch. Why are they fighting?
貴様らのような下級の者と戦
Okay, that's weird. That I don't know enough for duels. I just remember hazy stuff, but I do think there was like a duel. Like, was it always to the death? I'm so unsure because somehow I remember it wasn't, but then again I remember it was as well. But yeah, that was basically nobles fighting each other for stuff. Sometimes they did it for sport as well.
ストレハクに依頼され代理で戦う
Oh, so trial by combat, basically. Brilliant. But shouldn't he be a better fighter? Shouldn't he? I don't know. Yeah.
はいそういうものです
I love how nonchalant he is about it. Fear of death, man. That's not good, mate. He's fucking trolling you, yeah. Ooh, a parry dagger. I like that. I don't know how they work, but I've heard that. So now will you look him in the eye and kill him?
嫌だ死にたくない
He's pretty composed for someone who's about to die.
私に何の恨みもないだろ
But he's doing it for the job, I think.
君もやりたくないはずだ
It is murder, though. Like, but is it by their law? Like, that's just the question. Is it because they have the treaty? So I guess, or are duels illegal?
では
Bye. So fascinating. He's like Nowak, the executioner. I think it was Nowak. The guy with Leroy's voice actor. He was the same. It was just a job. And killing people being just a job is like very horrid. What's it worth? What's it worth to burden yourself with the sin of taking another life willingly? I don't know how you could be paid to do that. Like how much? Like I have no sum would weigh that. He said Jiku Kuni, which is hell, so he's like burn in hell. Yeah, okay. He would probably burn in hell though. He just killed a person. Is he afraid of hell? Because that's why I think I said that last time as well. So I will not dive too much into it. But I do think hell is exactly this. He's now in hell because he killed someone. That's the thing. Like, isn't it more scary to understand that hell will come for you on this world and not in the afterlife if you do bad things? Because you are living hell. Like this saying, this is a living hell. Like, I do think that's exactly correct, because that is what hell is. Hell is on this earth and not in the next world, even though it might be there too. And if you want to know how I'd imagine that, check out my web novel. But yeah, I do think it's a nice saying.
これで今日の仕事は終わ
How much are you paid for this?
りの反応だやはりいい目だね
So it's his eyes, but you also have to have good motor skills.
彼は天国に行けたので
Possibly, yeah.
不安なんです
Yes.
瞬間を何度も
Yeah, what's the state on that? Aren't you all afraid of hell? Why would you do this job if you're this pious? I don't know, perhaps he's not pious and I misunderstand this.
一人満足な顔で死ぬ人はいない
Die in satisfaction. The only person we saw Raphael die in satisfaction.
血が見えてるみたいに
So you're still killing people?
ものすごく少ないんじゃないんですか
Yeah, wouldn't that be terrible?
大勢殺した俺なんかとても
You think about that now?
何ですか急に
Yeah, that's a good question.
この世を好ましく思うのは不適切では
Ooh, interesting.
瞬く間に濁ってしまう
Our soul plunge instantly into darkness. Yeah, because you're aimless. That's also why the stars are their symbol. If you're aimless, you die. We know that. I mean, I've talked so much about that in other reactions. Like, if you don't have aims in your life, you die. So if you're retiring, I don't know if people watch this that are retiring, and if you one day retire, you might remember this video, I hope, like, because it might extend your life, actually, and I'm not shitting you. Look for something to do. Tend for something, get a hobby, get something to do. Don't just wither away, because if you wither away, you will just die. And we don't know exactly why. Like, people that do not have the will to live, and I know that's a bit corny, and I'm like, it's a bit of a metaphor, but not enough a metaphor that I would not use it. If you don't have something to live for, you die. If you lose all hope, you are very, very, very much more likely to die. And by die, I mean you just die. We don't know, like, it's just your body just like, okay, fuck it, bye. We don't know exactly why. We do know that the mind has a lot of feedback on the body, and I'm not talking mumbo jumbo shit here. Like, there's feedback from your subconscious back into your body. I mean, half your nervous system is connected to your brain. Your intestines are connected to your nervous system as well, and everything around about your body is connected to the brain, and there are feedback loops. So if your brain is like, no, fuck it, we can't, like, there's nothing to do anymore, it will just feedback down and you shut down. And I know that sounds weird and fishy, but it's really fucking weird. And yeah, it is true though. Like, it's what we observed. Dreams and hope. Yeah, otherwise you don't need to live anywhere, and then you die again. Interesting. Yeah, what do you really think? Interesting. Oh god, he might be a heretic now. Hope he's not. But I do understand they work for the church for like somehow, because he said chapter. Perhaps it was a weird translation. But I do think they are both very hard believers. Which is interesting that the one dude here looked at the sky. He probably tries to confirm geocentrism, I would assume. It's just headcanon though at this point. And he is very unsure of himself. Okchi. I will just say Okchi, and if I do it incorrectly, please understand that. How would I know how to pronounce it? So Okchi is incredibly unaware of, or he thinks his opinion doesn't matter. It almost sounds a bit like, and this is reaching probably, that the religious teachings have replaced his own critical thinking, and not even replaced, that is incorrect. I'm sorry, that is a bit incorrect. It is that his critical thinking skills didn't develop because he took all the truths from other people, and that makes you a bit of a hollow person and a fake person, and it can make you insecure as well. And it is detrimental, because there will be stuff you disagree with that you are taught, and if you swallow it down, it will come back. It might be nightmares, it might be another stuff, but that's just how it works. So let's see what heretic stuff we will spout now. He's afraid, yeah. He's really afraid. Holy shit. Interesting. I will let it run. Interesting. That's really fucking dark. He's basically seppuku idol. And that's exactly what I said. Like, it's even worse than that, but because he does not have an aim on this world, his aim is death. Because what he, and I understand why you would understand it like this. It is basically the confusion of, and I like, not the confusion, but if you do see heaven as the afterlife, that is a very, very hard argument to counter. If everything in the afterlife is better and beautiful and perfect, why shouldn't I just take this dagger and put it into my heart? And that is a question you can really, like, contending with that. Like, the only thing you can do is, like, as a priest, for example, you can say, yeah, but God doesn't want that. That's what he says. That's the only thing, and then you have to believe it. But if you create a very vivid image of heaven in someone's head, and they don't believe that, they are like very, like he is here, seppuku threatened. And the thing is, though, one of the things is like, yeah, they're the rich people. They're so much better off, and they are. But I do think everyone has their own pain and horror to carry, and I do not think we can understand each other's burdens perfectly. I think for people who have similar burdens and similar situations, we can understand it a bit more. But I don't think you really understand the suffering people go through that are out of your everyday life. I think you get the gist, you can, but like you don't really truly understand because you haven't lived it yourself. And I always would advise to be not too quick to judge someone. And even if they might be richer or more famous than you are, because they might have terrible burdens you don't know of. And I know that it is so easy to say this person is richer, has more money, more fame, more like, I don't know, women, whatever you want to do. And that person might be one of the most miserable sots ever. And you might argue if that's correct to be miserable, but I do also think that's an argument that's moot, because you can't be correct about that. You can, like, if you feel a certain way, you cannot change it. You can try to change yourself to not feel certain things, and it's hard. It almost never works. But you cannot rationalize your feelings away. They will just like bottle up and somehow get out, and that's very nasty. So I really do think that's a bit of a thing he misunderstands here. Although I do think he also has got to the point that he probably has it a lot worse than, I don't know, a king. Even though the king might be in constant fear of being backstabbed and killed and poisoned, which is something, you know. But again, I do think weighing that up against each other is harsh. So it's very interesting, though, that the other dude is not liking this. And let's see what he says about that. He's really... Yeah. That's true. Interesting, but then you looked at the scars. The meaning? Yeah. It's so funny if it's the stars, because the stars, as I said, they're the oldest symbol for having something in your life to strive towards that guides you, that is something more than you are, that you will never reach, but you can look towards and marvel at it and dream yourself traveling towards it. That's why I love sci-fi so much as well, because you literally travel to the stars and there are new problems and ideas that are so beautiful that you might then strive towards after you've visited the stars. It's like just this never-ending thing. Also, by the way, I know this is derailing so much. I'm so sorry. But there is a book by, I think it's Solzhenitsyn. No, it's Road to Wig and Peer, I think. I do think it's the afterword of Road to Wig and Peer, which is interestingly a very similar story to this. Just it's set in the industrial Great Britain. And who's it? Oh, man, who's the author? Orson Welles? No. The one who wrote Animal Farm. I don't know his name. What's his name? Was it Wells? H.G. Wells? I know it's H.G. Wells. I do think it's H.G. Wells. I'm so sorry. I fuck up the author. It is one of, like, the one who wrote Animal Farm, I think. And he basically traveled through industrialized Great Britain, and everyone was like dying and miserable on the street, and women were like doing everything with dead eyes because everyone knew they were just going to die and wither in their horrid conditions, and they had no money, and the people who owned the factories, they had everything and was miserable as shit. And he said in the afterword, though, and he thought about these ideas, and he did think about an argument, which is, I do think, correct. He made the scenario of let's imagine these machines that we hate so much right now because they take away our work and they give other people even more money than we currently have. But what could these machines do? Imagine they would take away everything in work we had. And that is a very interesting thought, even connected to what I said before with this: if you don't have meaning in your life, you die. If you don't have work you die. And I do think, let's imagine we would have machines that would do everything for us. That would be perfect, because we didn't have to work anymore. But we didn't have to work anymore. We wouldn't have to work anymore. And that would psychologically probably fuck us up a lot. And we would just get bored and wither and die. And that's, I think, what H.G. Wells, I think it's H.G. Wells. I hope, I will actually look it up. Okay, it was George Orwell. I'm so sorry. H.G. Wells, Orson Welles, George Orwell, all sounds the same to me. They are different people, of course. So it was George Orwell. George Orwell did write, I think, Animal Farm. So his argument was, though, even if there was something, even if we had everything we needed, we still would find something to do because we like it and because we think it's meaningful. So I do think his argument is, because that's why we evolved, because we can have goals that are abstract and move towards them. We will find different stuff. We will explore the universe. We will work and work and work. And we will look into problems, and we will do more and more and more. And we will find new stuff to do. And that's the hopeful turn on this very bleak idea of why even live. It's like, because there's fun we can have, and because there is challenges we can face. It's also, I do think, why stories are so loved, because it's about the challenges we can face and what could happen. And I really do like that. So let's see what he says here. Okay. So they are duelists. Okay. I mean, obviously they are, but I like that he's still kind. Oh God, what are you gonna do? I like that he's kind, though. He's like, yeah, man, I get it, your class shit, but we're allowed to do here. But please, like, he's amicable, and he's gonna really, I don't know. That's funny. That's funny. That's so dark. That's holy shit. That's so dark, but it's so funny. I don't think he forgave you. He was like, what the fuck is this dude doing? He's not even drunk yet. Yeah, hope. Kibo, one of the most beautiful worlds. Why is he so in the dark? Oh, it's probably... Ooh, Mars. Retrogradation, or what are you observing? Yep. I love these, like, you can do long time exposure and you get these photos in real. Yeah. A planet. Oh. That's so awesome. Oh, that's awesome. It's not stars, it's planets, but you can't discern them. Like, if you see Mars or Jupiter, and you can see them pretty easily with the naked eye on some occasions, or Venus. Like, they're pretty bright, but they look like stars. Mars is pretty reddish glow, but I mean, I think I'm colorblind, so my friends told me it's just very, like, whatever color it is, it's also very characteristic for me, even though I probably don't see it as red. But, like, you would think they are stars as well, because the sun reflects light back to you. Like, that's why planets glow, because of their atmospheres, and their gas, and yeah. So you see something that moves, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, they are. 5. Yeah. That was also very correct. That's a good image. Like, if you look at the moon, I mean, I know he's saying this is Mars, but if there's the moon here, like the moon is this big, I hope you can see my mouse, like, I will do it quicker. Like, here's the moon, then Mars is like that. And, like, you know how big stars are, so it's a bit bigger than a star. And this is obviously the sunlight that's, you know. So they say it's a red glow, so it's probably a red glow. I will just believe you. It was probably retrograde. That's fun. Interesting.
これほどまで規則正しく動くものはない。
It's actually pretty cool.
そして気づ
True perfection in the circle. It's funny, in my web novel, the circle is also the central symbol because it stands for perfection, for the perfection of light, which is not necessarily true in the end, but if you want to find that out, read it. But I like the idea of the circle as this beautiful thing, because we don't have circles in space. The only a planet that basically is on a circular orbit around this, the center of gravity of the solar system is Venus, as far as I understand. I think I got that correctly. And all the others are ellipses, so they're not circles. So the circle is just this vision of beauty that they mapped onto it again, because the circle is so beautiful, so it must be circles. No, it's ellipses. It's a bit more filthy, so to speak.
もう完璧を見ることはできるではないか。
But it's exactly as I said before, like 100% exactly the same thing. You look at something that you never will reach, perfection. You strive towards it. It's funny that he uses it like this. Yeah.
太陽と違い、火星は直視可能。
It's so funny as well, yeah.
人も地球も捨てたものじゃない。
It's funny.
今やこれにより、この世のすべてを
So this is basically the first logotherapy ever recorded. I like it. It's logotherapy. Like if you want to look up this method in psychology of using these meaningful ideas and setting goals for yourself, that is logotherapy. Because I do think logos means the true word. It's also what the God, but by the way, what God spoke into the world first after some ideas. It's also my vow that I gave in my wedding, or we gave. Like it's not in the vow, but it was the verse we were married under. In the beginning there was the word, and the beginning was the word is not completely true. The real translation, I think, is in the beginning there was said that there was something said that was true, and I just found that was very good for saying that before we said yes in the marriage thing ceremony, because I think that made it, because that was important to me. Like if you are still believing at least in some ideas of Christianity, and you are going to have a Christian wedding, I thought that would be the most beautiful thing, because I still could stand by it, even disregarding all the more literal interpretations and stuff. But I do just think that was a true thing.
そろそろ火星軌道が一
It will not, though. It will not. It will probably do this thing, I think.
なかなかこじつけ解釈じゃ。
Funny. Who said that, the noble?
火星軌道の完璧な円環
No.
民の無教養ぶりは羨ましい。
He's probably gonna tell him. He should know,
ここ
perhaps.
から絡んでいただいて申し訳ない。
Like that he's so pleasant, I would be like
どう
that.
しようと奪えない。
I would probably be like this sucker here. I wouldn't be like him. I would be a bit cowardly. I'm just like, I just want harmony in my life. That's why I'm like him. I don't know. I like that he, though. I love that he likes their talk so much that he goes over the class difference here. He's like, he might backstab them, but I like that.
を始めた時期が悪い。
Also, I really do hope he's not going to duel them or something.
適当なこと。
It's also might be that it's shifted because it's a reset form. We saw them before, like these cycles. Anyway.
毎日2年間
Yeah, retrogradation. I called it. Fuck off. Yeah.
火星が止まった。
Yeah.
こんなことが。
It's retrogradation.
なぜ
It is. It's hard to say. You can do it when you acted out the solar system. Like if someone takes the sun, someone takes Earth, and someone takes Mars. If you always look at Mars and like it will like when it goes behind the sun, I think it does it. It is hard to like, I can't explain it without pictures, but it's the retrogradation of Mars. It is because you move and Mars moves in a circle, so it does not make sense. So interesting. I do think it's retrogradation, yeah. So his worldview is shattered here as well, so he might die.
変人と組まされちまって
Also, Gras is with another S, it would be grass, and in German as well. So I think in Polish, because I do think they're in Poland, that might also be just grass.
いえ、いつも前向
He indeed is optimistic, but that will now fail.
昔はもっと普通なやつだったんだ。
Yes, but
それがあるとき、疫病で家族
oh my god.
終わらせようとしやがった。
Interesting. So it's exactly what I said. I mean, the seppuku target is even worse than what I said about this meaninglessness. But even if you don't seppuku, like your body does it for you. So I mean,
そんな悲劇が
that's so sad, though. I can't imagine losing your whole family. Holy shit, man! He failed to die.
本人は死にきれなくて悔やんでたよ。
Survivor's Guild is such a shit show, man.
よかってね。
Also, my book, first chapter, if you want to read it. But yeah.
天国からの家族のメッセージだ
Oh, interesting.
よ。
It also is something we should understand as heaven and the sky are not the same. And I do think they are conflated as well. The sky is the natural thing. Heaven is an ideal and a societal thing. What I said again, like science is not the realm of religion and vice versa. The world of science is the world of things and nature, and the world of religion is the world of society in its infancy. And obviously, I do think societies do tend to develop more towards more critical thinking, which mostly means not taking things literally, at least if it works well. So yeah, but that is the thing. That's why there's sky and heaven. Heaven is this paradise of being, and the sky is the paradise of nature for us, so to speak. You know, I don't know if that makes sense really, but I hope I got it across what I wanted to say.
好きとか夢とか希望とか
Love, dreams, and hope. Yeah. What is he doing? It did bend, yeah.
あさっての方
Yeah, it's retrogradation. Very nicely done. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Ooh.
歪んだ
Oh, man. That's so sad, though. But you know, I do think, and I know this is easy to say from me in a cozy chair, but for me as a scientist, and I know he's not a scientist, but he's acting like one because he's observing and predicting, and his prediction failed. That's one of the best things that can happen to you. You can discover something new. Like there's the new unknown in front of you, and you can try to conquer it. And it's just utter awesomeness. I did have that only once in my life. I discovered in psychology, I discovered something in my life and during my PhD thesis that I'm still working on. It spreads slowly currently in the community, and I do think it's going to be an extremely big thing when we try to describe the how understanding in itself works from a psychological perspective. And I do think I told you in the intro, but I will just reiterate, that is why I did my PhD in psychology and quantum physics, because quantum physics is the area where understanding is the hardest as far as we know, or one of them. And that is why there you can really try to analyze the problems people have with grasping the concepts and the misunderstandings and miscommunications and all of that. So I managed to take that area and from a psychological perspective, analyze these difficulties of understanding and categorize them and systematize them or whatever you say. And I could actually model understanding with that. And I could model understanding on an empirical basis, which is something that is, to my knowledge, in that way and not done, and not at I can predict the processes of how understanding works, and I could make it. I could show it's two-dimensional and not one-dimensional. So it's not like you understand something more. That's too narrow to see it. And that was, but I mean, why am I telling you this? Is this because that was the thing I discovered. And it was also this point. I was at the point where all my data did not make sense. Like I did have my PhD thesis, And I did gather my data. I did combine two surveys that were already proven to work online. I took them together. I evaluated them together in the same analysis because I made them so I could do that, which was just I just wanted to make the answer pattern the same for both. But by doing that and putting them together, nothing worked anymore that the things did on their own. So taken together, they made absolute bullshit at first glance, and I had to sit for 2 or 3 months to think it through, analyze it, and do some statistical stuff. And then I found that I had found something new. But before I had done that, I was so fucking devastated because it was like my whole research was shit. Nothing worked anymore. And after I had that moment of clarity where I was like, okay, but there is something new here. I don't understand this. No one does. What is this? And I went towards it and I tried to figure it out. And I at least modeled something. And again, I didn't find everything, but I found a better model than the ones we had. And that was such a beautiful thing. And that is why I always, when I don't understand something, I love it. I just love to then be like, why don't I understand it? And I will try to understand it. I use my own methods as well on myself, and it works very well, funnily enough. So I can understand a lot better now than when I didn't have my research, because I can self-reflect a lot more and do exactly the right stuff to facilitate understanding from the point I am at. But that's besides the point. And I just love it. So the point he's at, I know this is one of the most shittiest feelings a researcher can have, because I would call him a researcher here. He's an empirical person. He gathers empirical data. He has an interpretation. He models it. He predicted it. His model failed. Now he has to refine the model. New model. Brilliant stuff. The best thing you can do. Yeah, but he's going to be fucked up as shit. He might jump off the building here. Very sad, but I love this episode. Yeah. That's why I also love imperfections a bit, because there's beauty in them. Because if there's an imperfection, you can strive towards better things. Man, talk to him. Oh, good fucking God, he's gonna jump off the roof. Man, he's so seppuku idle. Holy shit. Transport of a heretic. It's so interesting that stargazing is allowed, because the church is so confident in their data as well that they allow it. Because they are just talking about it, and they talked with the nobleman about the stargazing, so it's legal. Like, the church isn't like, you can't do that, they don't prohibit it, because they are so faithful in their model. You should never be too faithful in your model. Every model has its limits, every single one. And that's the beauty in the imperfection again. Damien, okay. Who are you carrying? Raphael? I hope not. No, who's that? He looks awesome. Looks a bit like Kempachi. Don't know. Oh, Nowak. Interesting. Wow, he's gotten so old, man. He looks a bit like Zeke as well. Holy shit, Nowak has gotten old. Passage of time. So they will get the pennant from Novak. Interesting. Somehow they will get it. I mean, never be too careful, mate. Oh God. Oh fucking God. He knows somehow. I don't know why. How would you know? Oh God. Oh Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, you're already speaking with you, like, child's already fallen into the well. Interesting. Doesn't bring you salvation, though. It seems to be doing a pretty shitty job here. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, how would you know? How would you know? How would you know? But that's the thing, you don't know. That's why you believe it. You cannot know. The afterlife, no one knows. No one knows. I find it fascinating as a topic, and that's why I wrote a book on it, and we'll write 6 more at least on it. But it's like no one knows. It's an idea. It might never be nothing. As we said, who knows? It's just that wouldn't it be nice? And it's like in Frieren. And if you want to watch my Frieren reactions that are like this, you can watch them. I also explain all the German words. But I do think what Heiter said in Frieren is exactly true. Wouldn't it be convenient if the afterlife existed? That's also why I do think you can't like seppuku. Seppukuing for heaven also has to be just from hope, you know? Because you can't know. Really? Really? Okay. Who do they talk about with the chalice? I don't know who that is. Please comment on that. Is it Ptolemaeus or something? Don't know. That is true as well, though. That is the thing. Without tragedy, there can't be hope. If there would be no tragedy, you wouldn't need hope because everything would be there. And it is, again, harkening back to the theme I talked about at the start of the episode, this, if there was just perfection, there would be nothing because you couldn't hope. Like, humanity would die. If you would be in paradise, you wouldn't be human, so to speak. You would be something not even not lower, but you would just be different, but you wouldn't be human anymore. That's the same why I also would argue for the other way around, with there are often stories that depict humanity ascending to a higher plane of existence or something, but also that doesn't matter anymore because then you wouldn't be humans anymore, because these planes often are depicted as the paradise as well, like of these places of no worry and stuff. So same holds true for that. Primal suffering. Yeah, that is true. The third and guarantee of life after death, yeah. I like his counter to this, why don't we just all seppuku? Because he's like, that hope you have for the afterlife, you only have that because of the situation you're in. And isn't it the situation you're in that gives you the beauty, these beautiful dreams and ideas? That's what gives it to you. There's the suffering that you live through, and that makes you conceptualize the better thing. And isn't that pure beauty as well? So that's why the world's more beautiful than the sky, because without the world there wouldn't be a sky to look at, because we wouldn't need to look at it, because like the sky would already be here and it would be meaningless and mundane and not full of beauty. So it's not only that the world is beautiful, but also that the earth makes the sky beautiful, you know what I mean? Yes, so do tell me, friend. Yeah. Interesting. He's really gaslighting him here, I like that. But that is also a belief. That's also a belief. Interesting, man. That is true. It is a possibility. You should confront it. I mean, heaven exists in our heads at least, and it only exists because of the suffering in the world, you know, so I don't know. Oh god, it's the existence question again, and I've talked about this a lot, so I will not again. But what does it mean something exists? Does love exist? Does hope exist? Like, it's nothing physical, there's no substance, there's no, like, you could perhaps categorize it as a set of nervous transmitters, like neurotransmitters and nervous excitations and stuff. But the ideas we speak about, they are not real in that they are not material. So I do think the word real is a very stupid word. It's like, is it material? Is it useful? The thing is, I'm a pragmatist in many things. I'm not always, because sometimes I do think it also fails, but in most cases, I'm a pragmatist. If something works better, I will just consider that the temporary truth, so to speak, you know? And that is why I also think, like, love is an idea that works. We can understand it in some ways. We try our best to completely. We can never do that, obviously, you know, all these stuff. But just because love is not a substance in the world, it might still exist. And I would argue it does. It is just not real in that it's material, but it's real in that it's an idea that is conceptually moving us and changing our actions. And I do think that's also rather beautiful. And I also think that in stories where these things like love and stuff are depicted as either deities, which is the personification we talked about last time, or it's like some matter that is depicted. It's just trying to grasp those concepts, by the way.
バカな君だって本当は信じたい
He's so mad. I love it though. Interesting that he's not afraid of death then, because shouldn't he want to stay in this world?
考えれば全て無根拠な妄想だ
No, if you still don't think it's not, that's the problem.
いや今ここに
Really? Ooh.
国置かれた石箱の
How does he know about that though?
事態を理解している
How does he know? Is he, but he's not, is he not the, is he the father, Raphael's father? I don't think so.
全てを捨てて自己肯定にかけて
Interesting.
どうする
I don't get how they get the pendant though. I thought Novak would give them. So interesting, man. So they will have to kill Novak? They probably could, they're good duelists. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, what's gonna happen now? No! Well, I should have seen that coming. Should have so seen that coming. Fuck off, man. That pendant, where did it come from? I do think it has spoiled, so I will not watch it. Man, Raphael, rip. That was awesome. I just don't know how they get the pendant, but I'm not supposed to know. So we probably are like 10 years in the future. 10 years in the future. That was a very interesting episode. It was a lot about logotherapy and the idea of meaning as a driver in life and what it means and why heaven and earth and all of that stuff are in line with it. And the retrogradation of Mars is exactly... It is, by the way, because Earth is quicker. So, like, if you move past it, it will look like it's... it looks like it's moving backwards. It's not moving backwards, but from the geocentric view, Mars looks to go backwards because we are like on our trajectory. We are doing this, and because Mars is not, it's like we are doing this. You know, on the like. Let's say it's a bit easier. Let's do it like this. So let's say Mars is fixed. I know it's not, but it's easier to understand then. And we go like this, like this. So from our perspective, Mars will do, oh god, Mars will do this, you know? So that's why it happens. I know that's a very shitty understanding. You have to like Google it if you really want to see it. Like play it. It's not that hard, but it's hard to say, put into words. So it's the retrogradation of Mars, what they're talking about. Anyway, I hope you liked this. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the reaction again. Also, don't forget to check out my web novel, which is exactly dealing with all these themes and more in a horror fantasy setting in the afterlife that they're talking about here, but not the same one, just the same idea. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. See you around. Bye.